Hello, and welcome to that Eurovision podcast, Eurovision with a Slice of Life. My name is Rory, and I'm doing pretty well today. I'm very tired, though, because having to lug two giant shopping bags from the city centre filled with nothing but just meat and veg, it's just like, it's tiring, you know? This is a tiring life we're living here. And joining me...
meat.
I mean, yeah.
Jazzy. Not done too much today, just been a relaxing, chill day, and really looking forward to talking about our topic today.
Hi, it's Rosie. I have had a very busy day at work, but I'm also very happy because I got to pet 3 cats today,
Aww.
One of which had no tail, and it was so happy and friendly, and if anything's going to put me in a good mood, it's petting 3 cats.
Oh, that is so cute. We love to see a little bit of, you know, a little bit of pussy every now and again.
Okay, I had that coming to me.
Yeah, okay. This is TEP After Dark. Yes, so we usually would have Tim in as well, but Tim is off saving Sarah Alto from this horrendous Bag of Chips collaboration. So in lieu of Tim, we're so happy to be joined by Rosie's boyfriend, Lewis. Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Pretty good. I mean, it's been a long day writing, but I end it with unexpected Eurovision, so can't complain.
Hey, unexpected Eurovision is always the best Eurovision.
Yes.
It is, you know? If you didn't know what was coming, you know, that's fantastic. So in this episode, we are going to talk about 2017. So 2017 was hosted in Kyiv, in Ukraine, and its theme was Celebrate Diversity. And the best way to celebrate diversity, of course, is to have 3 straight white men host the whole competition. And honestly, sounds fantastic, you know? 42 countries managed to take part. It was supposed to be 43, but then we had a little bit of drama in terms of Russia. And it was managed to be won by the one and only Salvador for Portugal with the Marpelos Dois. So, just to kind of kick things off, I guess, what are your first sort of memories, I guess you could say, of 2017? Like, how do you remember it? As like a national final and the whole sort of Eurovision week in general?
It's definitely not my favourite Eurovision, but it's not, like, absolutely terrible either. I think it's just the fact that the Eurovisions around it, 2016 and 2018, are so high quality that this falls a little bit flat to me compared to those. That being said, it's not a bad Eurovision. There are good songs. I don't think it's necessarily hosted the best either. The host sometimes feels a little bit wooden, but again, it's probably not the worst hosting we've ever had. It just, compared to Petra and Mans the year before that, it looks terrible, but it's probably not as bad as I think it is.
I mean, we can't say it was that bad of hosting when 2015 is right there.
2015 had Conchita in the green room, okay?
Okay, that was the one redeeming factor.
We can keep her.
Yeah, that's fine. But the other 3, get out.
Yeah, they're pretty awful as well.
Yeah.
Me, 2017 hasn't aged especially well. A lot of the songs that I sort of enjoyed around the time, I no longer have any interest in listening to and skip past, and I can probably count certainly on both my hands, if not all, just one hand, how many songs from the year I actually listen to anymore. There are still some good ones in there, but for me, it was the first year I was sort of on the fringes of the fandom, and it was the first year I shared a Eurovision party with Lewis, where we got very drunk, and that's kind of about it.
Discussed feelings. A lot of feelings.
We weren't together at the time, so...
At least you managed to come together over the great unifier that is Eurovision, so it's okay.
Exactly.
Honestly, I mean, for myself, I I really did enjoy 2017, and I still do look back at 2017 with a lot of sort of very fondly. It was the year that I was sort of finishing my sort of secondary school education, so it was the last year I was watching it from home before I moved away to England and to go to uni and everything, and a lot of the songs in there just give me real sort of emotional sad boy hours, because that's how I was feeling at the time, because there was some sad unrequited love going on in my life. So it's very poignant for me, 2017. In terms of like the actual sort of national finals, there was like actually quite a decent number of good national selections going on at the time. For example, Estilal in Estonia was fantastic that year. I believe Norway did pretty well as well that year. And not to mention as well Ukraine, the host country there. It's so much going for them. And Slovenia. Oh god, there's so many good ones. So many good song selections. And
just not some good choices.
Well,
No.
Very true. We'll save that for the Slovenia episode. But yeah, honestly, I really do still look back on 2017 very fondly. I still very heavily listen to a lot of songs from 2017. So much so that I actually specifically got Spotify so I could like listen to 2017 songs as they were coming out. So if anything, I have 2017 to blame for like essentially giving you the podcast on Spotify. So it's kind of a good thing. But
I mean, at least it was good for something then.
Oh, don't be mean.
And if you want the world's most archaic thing, Lewis is sat here right now with the full physical CD in his lap.
Oh, that is so like. To be fair, that used to be me. I have all of the DVDs from 2007 up to 2016. So honestly, I can relate to you with that.
That is
All
amazing.
of the CDs from 2006 up till 2020, and getting next year when it comes out.
Hopefully, we will actually have a contest next year.
Oh yeah.
Keeping the
Please
fingers crossed.
Please don't put that into the universe, Rory.
This is one seed I'm not planting. Okay, it's that. But no, I still really love 2017 as a year, and I just wish people kind of gave it a little bit more love, because we had a lot of, like, outside of the songs, there actually was a lot of kind of good stuff that was going on. But yeah, so what we're going to do, we're just going to kind of go through our top three, and then maybe we'll talk a little bit about the sort of interval acts, or maybe something else that was going on, or the organisation of the contest as well. So who'd like to kick us off with their number three?
I will do that. My number 3 is Ireland, Brendan Murray, Dying to Try.
I'm trying to die.
I was waiting for that.
I'm sorry, it's gonna happen.
Like, I really, really like this song. I think his voice is really, really unique, and it's just something that I really like. I will admit that the staging probably wasn't the best, and for the song really made no sense. The balloon, they dropped the ball with the staging. However, I still really enjoyed the song. I enjoyed the song when I first listened to it, and I guess this is one of my very, very unpopular opinions among the fandom, because I don't see very much love for this song at all.
I guess the thing is, though, even with the staging, at least he didn't have his own face in the background, which is more than you can say for about half of the act that year.
That is very true.
This is true.
Celebrate diversity, more like celebrate narcissism.
Celebrate my face.
Celebrate me.
Yeah, yeah.
That's Jacques Houdek.
Oh my! Oh, we didn't need more than him. We did not need him in that. But time and a place.
There is no time and a place. There is no time or place for Jacques Houdek.
Oh, controversial.
Homophobia does not have a place on this podcast.
That is very true. That is very true.
I think my number 3 of the year, it might be a bit obvious, but Moldova with Hey Mama.
Okay. Yeah, good choice.
Yeah. I think it's such a wonderful thing seeing Sunstroke Project come back after all this time, and I mean I love the original, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people do. But that said, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because Hey Mama ends up compared to that, and maybe doesn't quite hold up. But I think in isolation of that, it's just a really fun, upbeat song.
I think
I can definitely vouch for that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I almost feel like Hey Mum is more of a refined version of the Sunstroke Project. And I quite like that. I mean, I kind of appreciate the fact that Runaway is a hot mess, but a great hot mess.
It's a steaming pile
Whereas
of
Hey
hot
Mum
mess.
has a lot more...
It was a lot more commercial.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the
it
problem
did
with
very
it, though.
well, like... Oh, sorry.
No. I was just saying maybe that's the problem with it, that with Runaway, you've got everything just coming out of nowhere. You know, violin on a turntable into saxophone into
Neon and...
to deep chanting, and it's just wonderful and crazy. And Hey Mama it's fun, but it's not crazy.
I think Runaway would definitely not have worked in 2017 because I think music was so refined at that in that point in time. Especially with Eurovision, like 2016, 2017, 2015 are some of the more refined years in Eurovision over the last decade. I don't think something like Runaway would have worked. However, Hey Mama was very, very current for the time in 2017, and that's probably why it worked as well as it did. We'll talk a bit more about it later.
Ooh, okay, are we hinting?
It's higher in my top.
So my third place is another song that I don't see a lot of appreciation for in the fandom, but it's a song that did do very well, and I just really, really like it, which is Lights and Shadows by Ogene. I think it's just beautiful. It's so personal. It's so well performed. I think it just is so good at sort of capturing and portraying those sorts of personal family feelings that was going on there. Like, the song was written by their dad, and just the singing, the close harmonies, the high notes, it's just so good to me. And just trying to listen to it and trying to sing all three parts at once is a thing I do on a regular basis.
I'm looking forward to the next Eurofan home concert, so then you can just try doing Lights and Shadows yourself and just doing like all three parts. So
I've got an even more impressive thing lined up for home concerts.
Ooh.
If I can do it.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay.
I see the plan.
If I can do it.
Okay, well that'd be very interesting. But no, it's definitely true. Like Ogene as well. Like, they have had such a development, because the first time we saw them was actually Junior Eurovision in 2007. So it's so nice just to see them kind of grow as artists and sort of grow into their own kind of aesthetic, I guess you could say, and their own sort of style of music. And I kind of slept, I guess, on Lights and Shadows at the time, but kind of looking back on it now, like, it is definitely like a vocal masterpiece for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is my favourite vocal of the night, no doubt.
Not surprised at all. But yeah, so my number 3, now I've had to kind of and ah about whether or not to put it here, because my 3rd, 4th and 5th are kind of practically all fighting with each other to get 3rd. But I think I'm going to go with this one because, you know what, no one else seems to be talking about it, so I'm going to just kind of hint to what it could potentially be by just saying this one thing. Yeah, 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 yeah.
No.
So for those of you who wouldn't know, it is Fuse Mark with Reign of Revolution representing Lithuania. I think it was actually a really nice song. I really have no idea why people didn't like it that much. I think maybe it might have sounded just a little bit kind of unrefined in terms of a production point of view, because, you know, the horns, I guess, can sound a little bit kind of plastic. But Victoria's vocals are fantastic. She has amazing personality on stage. My personal favorite is when they go around, like, it's just after the first chorus, they kind of pan around her and she follows the camera, and then, like, as the camera starts to kind of fade away, she kind of just shoos the camera away, so she's like, oh, get away. And it's so funny. It's so
Ew,
funny.
paps.
Literally, it's just like, me, I am fantastic. But I really like this song. I never really understood why it got so shat on by the fandom, especially at the time. Not since we've had, you know, Slovenia right there, and, you know, a couple of other songs, but we'll get into that potentially later. And yeah, I just think it should have gotten a little bit more love, and I would have been happy going to Vilnius, but obviously Europe just didn't have taste, you know. And this is coming from the person whose country gave their 12 televoting points to Lithuania. So I'm just, you know, I'm part of the converted, so it's okay. But yeah, so shall we go around and do our number 2 then?
My number 2 would be Blanche and City Lights. This was a song that, when I first heard it, I heard a lot of hype for, but I wasn't completely sold on it. I thought, yeah, it's good, but it's not as good as you're making out. However, I feel like as time has gone on, this song has aged really, really well. And I really like how, like, she was so nervous at, like, the beginning of the rehearsals, and everyone was like, oh, she won't even qualify, and she had, like, literally the whole press just crapping on her. And she came back, she proved them wrong, and she got 4th place. And I just really, really admire that about her, at 17 years old, to, like, come back from what was, like, a very not well received first rehearsal. And yeah, it just made me really happy for her, and it was really well deserved because the song is amazing, and it really did deserve to bring a good result for Belgium.
I think it was, like, it was quite a good song, especially because sort of Belgium had sort of were switching back and forth between the Flemish and the Wallonian, like, broadcaster, and obviously RTBF, which is the Wallonian broadcaster, had Leugna TEP, and so when it came back around, they kind of knew the strategy that they kind of wanted to go for. So if they knew what worked for them, so they kind of carried on from that kind of dark electronic vibe from Loic and kind of carried it on to Blanche. Yeah, I think it's a good song. I don't really listen to it as much.
Did not carry over in 2019.
Yeah, but I mean, let's be real though. Wake Up was a bit of a shit song. Sorry, not sorry.
It would have been really great if they just kept the fast pumping sort of power layer into the chorus. That's all they needed to do. Yeah, it was.
And not to mention his vocals were like, I came to fight over you.
Yeah, his voice is really flat.
Okay, so if we fixed the melody, the staging, and the singing, it would have been great.
Yeah. So if Belgium withdrew, that would have been fine.
I'd say my number 2 of the year, and again, I'm sorry to be obvious, but it's Francesco Gabbani with Occidentali Karma. I resisted the hype for so long. I just, at the time, I thought it was clearly a good song, but is it really as good as everybody's making it out to be? And is it just the staging? Does it have that much behind it? But the more I listened, the more it clicked. And one of my favorite genres of music is just sarcastic happiness, and Occidentali Karma kind of nails that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not a personal fan of the song, as well we've discussed in the Italy episode, but I think, like, the fact that it managed to get the fandom so hyped up obviously shows that there was something in there that, like, was just so appealing to people. I just wasn't obviously one of those people that saw it, but you know.
No, I completely get it. It took me a long time for it to click, but yeah, eventually it did.
My second place is, I think it's the only time this country has possibly even made it in my top 20, let alone my top 10. No, It's had one other top 20 placing in the decade. But the only time it has made it even anywhere close to my top 10 is this one, and it is Belarus with Naviband and Story of My Life, because it is just so joyful. I think it is absolutely lovely. I really liked the way they staged it. I really liked the way it was sung. I thought it was just romantic and happy and just put such a huge smile on my face. I can't not listen to it and feel like the world is a better place for having listened to it.
I just feel like Belarus should just make Naviband their rulers.
Please, can we? Because they, like, it's just nothing but happiness and sunshine and falling off boats. Honestly, I'm down for that.
I mean, they're out there, like, entertaining the crowds and protesting right now, so power to Naviband, quite frankly.
Exactly. I'm going to have to agree with Rosie on this. My number 2 is also Naviband with the Story of My Life. Not Leslie Roy, I'm afraid, but Naviband. Although
honestly, both are great. Like, Story of My Life is just a song title that has to, or just do you well.
It must do. Obviously, we're like Eurovision fans as well, but time and a place. I really do love like Naviband. Just as people, they just seem so like happy and joyous, and you know, when there's so much shit that's going on in the world, I think it's only fair to have these kind of people just to kind of share positivity and joy, and it's so lovely just to hear that song. I think it's quite possibly one of the most infectious songs, like infectiously happy songs. Like, you can't listen to this song without smiling, you know, especially with the whole hey, hi, yeah, exactly. Like even if it's just that, and the whole sort of love story between them anyway. I mean, no one knew that they were a couple until the grand final, when they did that kiss at the grand final. Until then, we just thought, oh, they're just good friends, or they're like just musicians and stuff. And you know, that was also the first time I actually heard Belarusian in Eurovision. We obviously
and
heard
the last
thus far. It would have been this year if Val
That's
got
true.
to go. So hopefully, fingers crossed, Val managed to, you know, defeat the Lukashenko state government and finally get to like represent like Belarus themselves, as in like, yes, we like patriotic kind of Davidna 2.0, you know.
Up for that.
Yeah, I just love Naviband. They're just so happy, and
the way Belarus has to do well is by sending male-female duets sung in Belarusian.
there we go. Although, to be fair, Davidna was kind of underrated, though, compared to...
Or Kinky Boots.
Oh,
I mean, you can't go wrong with Kinky Boots.
Kinky Boots, I need some Kinky Boots. We love it, we love it. Yeah, so shall we sort of release our number ones?
Shall we let them out?
We'll let them out, let's do it.
My number 1, if you were listening earlier on in the podcast, will come as no surprise. It is Sunstroke Project and Hey Mama.
Hey!
I just really enjoy this.
I mean...
And I feel like I said everything that really needed to be said when Lewis named it as his 3rd place. So I don't really feel like I've got anything else to really add.
Just such a fun song.
Yeah. It's just fun, it makes me happy, and I like to be a fun, happy, positive person.
Sounds perfect.
Right.
Definitely, yeah. Oh dear.
Well, my number 1, I've been pretty obvious up to now, so I've no reason to stop now. is Amar Pellestois. It deserved the win. It's just such a beautiful song, and it's sort of the ideal of what I think Eurovision can be. What are the ideals of what Eurovision can be? Just this song that I would never have heard anywhere else, in a language I don't even speak, but which I can still hear the emotion and the feeling and just the artistry in it. And yeah, I think it's a beautiful song and absolutely deserved the win. I realise I may be being controversial.
Well, you might be controversial to an extent.
The problem isn't Amar Pellestois as a song, it's
Salvador as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one thing to say on Amar Pellestois that always sort of threw me off it, and that's because I prefer it when Luisa sang it.
Oh, Luisa Sobral singing that song. She did so well.
And when they did it together at the end, like, oh, yes, that was good.
That's how it should have been the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can get behind that. But still, even if the singer has his issues, it's still such a beautiful song.
Definitely. And I mean, it was the first time we ever got to go to Portugal then afterwards. So overall, I guess it was a kind of a good thing.
Yeah.
My number one is also another one that's been mentioned, and I also know it's a song that divides this podcast. And my number one is Occidentali's Karma by Francesco Gabbani. There was a thing going around Twitter fairly recently that was like, describe the themes of your winning song each year. And it was like, social commentary, social commentary, social commentary, social commentary. I like songs that have something to say about the world we live in, and that say it well, and that say it in a really clever way, that say it in a way that is fun but serious, that's got a message behind it. Just looking at the lyrics of it, there's so much wordplay in there, and it's fascinating to read. And I think it brings a really sort of fun take on a topic that is something that is genuinely serious. And I love that. I do think the live struggled. I do think it was not what it should have been. And I completely accept the fact that it didn't win. But honestly, the studio version, and every time I've listened to it afterwards, it's absolutely been cemented as my favourite. I just think it's fantastic as a song. And again, Francesco's voice is so unique and it's so characterful. And I really like that about listening to him. I had the same when I heard Vice Versa for Sanremo this year. And yeah, it's great.
I mean, I'm going to stay quiet on this just because we know how
I know you and Jazzy don't like it.
I said I do like it. I just said
think it's overrated.
I don't love it. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It's all right. Me and Rosie can fill 5 minutes raving about Occidentali's Karma, I'm sure.
That's it. That's fine.
Wait until you just get on Italy's string of entries over the last 10 years, and I'll.
Do you like Italy's entries, Rosie? I never knew.
You didn't do a whole episode on Italy for nothing.
Oh no, not at all. So my number one, we've discussed it many times on this podcast, and it still pains me in my heart to this day. The fact that literally it just didn't come in to the final. It just makes me sad. But I guess that's the point of the song, I guess. It is Blackbird by Norma Jean from Finland, and it's just so good, and I just like, UMK 2017 was an outstanding year, and the selection process and all of the songs that were in it, they were fantastic. Any one of them could have done really, really well, but Blackbird was definitely like the standout of the bunch, just because of how sort of dramatic and artistic it was. And Lena's vocals on the night in UMK were fantastic, and once you translated that into Kyiv, it was practically the same, you know, like, and like Lasse did a fantastic job playing the piano. Lena just did fantastic in terms of her vocal delivery. I can understand maybe why it didn't qualify, because there wasn't a lot of movement to it. You know, because there was a lot of kind of criticism in the instrumental part of the song that, oh, she's just gonna stand there while he's just there like twinkling the ivories, that kind of thing. And I do kind of understand that, but I guess that's the kind of point that they were trying to go for, you know, like, you're supposed to be stoic, because you're kind of stuck in this kind of comatose feeling of like depression and despair, that kind of thing, not knowing what to do with yourself after you've lost someone. And I don't know, it just spoke to me on a really sort of emotional, personal level. And not to mention as well, the staging of that was fantastic. Like it was sublime. The waves kind of on the bottom of the stage, and then the kind of the water kind of, I don't know how you kind of describe it, like the waves kind of crashing into each other in the background as well. And then when it goes red as well, everything just turns red and it just reaches that big crescendo. Oh, it just makes me sad to this day. And I want Norma John to come back, please. Please, Norma John, please. I beg you.
I mean, if you wanted a song with movement, I guess that's why I Can't Go On qualified.
Oh. We can't go on talking about I Can't Go On.
There are multiple songs in that same semi-final that should not have qualified over Blackbird.
Maybe the song that maybe might have come in 10th place, maybe? Oh, no. I mean, it's just a song.
The song by the Domestic Abuser as well, maybe?
I mean, maybe not. Well, luckily, he didn't make it through, didn't he? So that's okay.
No, there were two of them and one of them did.
Oh, was there?
Isaiah.
Oh, see, I kind of liked that song a little bit, so I was okay that it
I kind of like the song, but I have ethical issues about glorifying people who are terrible human beings.
And that's totally understandable. Yeah.
If you want to hear us discuss this on a future episode of that Eurovision podcast, please leave a comment down below.
Please do, because you know us, we're always on about like social commentary. Yeah, so just to kind of look sort of past all of the songs and everything, like how do you think 2017 sort of stacks up in terms of like a year? Because we've seen 2017, the whole sort of run up to the contest was very kind of shaky. There was some problems in terms of, you know, the sort of host city selection thing, and then all of the creative teams essentially walking out because none of their sort of ideas were being listened to by the broadcaster. And then obviously the whole drama with Russia as well. So how do we think kind of like 2017 sort of stacks up against sort of other sort of years? Do you think maybe it was a very weak year in terms of organization or thereabouts?
I think it was definitely a weak year in terms of organization and behind the scenes issues and just general drama around the contest. But in terms of the contest itself, I'd say it's a solidly mid-table year, I guess. Like you said earlier, it kind of suffers in comparison to the years around it, but it's still perfectly solid. That's more than perhaps can be expected given the issues.
I feel like it was a poor year for the contest generally, but a great year for the memes.
Oh, God.
The number of memes that came out of this contest are delightful.
Go on, give us some examples.
Like the horsehead dude in Skeletons.
Oh my
iconic. Epic sax guy coming back. Everyone's faces being in the background. The flashing of feeling all alone and insecure in the middle of lights and shadows.
Just do it. Just do it. Just
do it
for your lover. Just do it. Just do it.
Just do it for your lover.
Iconic, quite frankly.
Oh.
The fact that everyone was kissing each other,
or mauling each other's face in the case of Romania, but
yeah,
they were kissing
Jack
each
Hudak's
other,
face
it wasn't
everywhere.
That kiss from Romania was definitely not consensual.
oh no.
Yeah, that was kind of yikes. Yeah, just the year itself was iconic. Not necessarily in a good way, but iconic.
It was iconic, but for a lot of the time, all for the wrong reasons. Either bad vocal fails, drama between the contestants. Let's rip on Romania again. Alex Maria decided to say that Salvador only won because people felt sympathetic towards his heart issues.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was a low blow on his part.
Like, I'm not Salvador's biggest fan. Just how could you come to that conclusion when vast majority, unless you were Portuguese, would have known about that?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
unless
You
like,
literally
nobody in the
entered
fandom.
rapping and yodeling.
Yes, because that is the pinnacle of pop music nowadays.
And I mean, even if Salvador hadn't won, they wouldn't have won. There's
No.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like saying Christian Kostov would have only won because he was like 12.
Or just come out of the womb, essentially.
Like, I know that Christian Kostov had his own issues, but some of that you can just think he was only 17 years old. But it's like that begs the question: was he mature enough for Eurovision? Because there was times where he said some stuff on social media which was like way not okay.
We'll save that for a Bulgaria episode because I'll need to vent on Christian Kostov for a little bit. But for me, I mean, I see 2017 is kind of the epitome of what sort of chaotic energy in Eurovision is.
Even more so than my taste.
I mean, that's some pretty chaotic taste over there, you know. But no, I mean, you know, from the long drawn out like host city selection, even though we practically knew it was going to go to Kyiv anyway, and then the struggle to find a venue, and then, you know, the whole creative team walking out and everything, and then the whole drama with Russia. It was a hot mess from the get go. But I think overall they did manage to kind of pull it together in the end, and I did think they did.
Yeah,
They did manage to bring like a good show overall. I really loved the stage. I thought the stage was one of the most intriguing ones we've ever had. Not to mention it had the longest LED wall that we've ever had in Eurovision as well, at 73 meters of LED. So that's like even more than Moscow.
3 meters of Jack Hudak's face.
Ugh. Honestly, I think we could have done without that.
I guess that's part of the thing as well. Like, it was the projections we used, the LEDs were used so badly by most of the stagings.
Mm.
And it's why my favourite staging of the year was Azerbaijan, because at least it was interesting.
And
at least it
incredibly
wasn't
original.
Yeah, at least it wasn't cartoon graphics or someone's face.
But
And that would cancel out most of the other performances. Also, Lucy Jones's staging. How beautiful was that?
oh, that was gorgeous. Like the gold at the crescendo moment is just we love to see it.
So good.
Yeah.
And at the time, France is just like, hello, here is the Eiffel Tower. Did you know we are French? We don't need to tell you we are French. Here is the Eiffel Tower. Eiffel Tower!
But but the best thing is like at the end of France's thing, it's just like the Eiffel Tower just spinning. It's like you're on a nosedive, just spinning, you know? It's like, okay. Pretty sure that would have given you like some kind of seasickness by the end of that, but you know, we'll save that for France episode. But no, in terms of also, I just have to say, the interval acts were so good, you know. They've done fantastic in terms of their organisation at the last minute. You know, we had Onuka, we had Monatic, we had all of these, like Jamala, we had Ruslana, like quite heavy.
Another great meme, the guy mooning in front of Jamala.
Oh, bless.
Iconic,
but, you know, his ass could have been a bit
a disaster,
perkier,
but iconic.
Yeah, his ass could have been a bit perkier, but, you know. But no, I really did love a lot of 2017's interval acts. I think the best one, I think Onuka has definitely gone down as one of the most iconic interval acts of the decade. Obviously not including like Love Love Peace Peace, because that will forever be known as like the interval act for Eurofans, you know, whereas for locals it'll always be Riverdance. But I just think they did a really good job in terms of the interval acts and, you know, kind of the just promotion of Ukrainian culture. And because I know that's a very big thing for Ukraine, just to kind of show off who they are. And it especially makes sense when they're literally at war with another participating country. So, yeah. But, yeah, so do we kind of have any sort of final points just before we start to wrap things up? Well, I'll say one thing. Jacques Hudek, please don't come back.
Oh, I've got one meme that I need to say. I just need to get it out there. It's been 3 years. We need to get over it.
Yeah, we need to get over it. It's just too much. Too much. But also, do you know what? It's okay because rain falls from above. Yeah, no, honestly, see, 2017 was a chaotic year, but it did give us some of the best memories that we will ever have from Eurovision. So honestly, maybe it was a good thing, even if it was ridiculously like chaotic. Not to mention as well that incredibly awkward look that Imri gives in from Israel, where he just kind of looks in the camera trying to give like his like sexy fuck me eyes, but then he just comes across as like a complete creep. It's like,
oh, you have just reminded me of a thing that I do want to say.
Okay.
One thing I really love about 2017 is the postcards. And the thing I particularly like about them is, even though it's a bit sort of weird, you have that whole sort of freeze frame section at the beginning where you've got the artists sort of as if they're about to go on stage and they're sort of surrounded by their delegation and their team and that sort of thing. And I really love how that sort of drives home that this isn't just the artist. There's a whole group of people who are behind these performances, and I like how it sort of gives credit to them as well. I thought the whole sort of idea of the postcards, and particularly with that beginning and ending bit, was just super lovely. Like, I really liked how in Ogene's postcard you saw their dad with them, and in Blanche's postcard you can see Suri in the background, and it's just really cool. I really like that aspect of things.
And I feel like 2017's postcards just don't get enough they don't get enough credit, essentially, because it's like their journey to Eurovision, essentially. So that freeze frame moment, it's like the idea of it is just so that like they can reflect on their whole like journey up to like that performance, and I think that's so lovely, you know. Also, I have one last point, and that is Nathan Trent, step on me, please.
I want to give a shout out to San Marino ESC on Twitter, who's recently been doing a thread called every time Nathan Trent plays on ESC radio, I post a picture of an otter.
Oh, okay.
It's so cute if you like otter pictures.
I love otters, so sounds good. Yeah, so that takes us to the end of this episode of That Eurovision Podcast. I'd really love to thank Jazzy, Rosie and Lewis for, you know, taking a trip down memory lane to Kyiv to celebrate diversity in a very odd way. Yeah, and please do continue to follow us on all of our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at That Euro Podcast. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well, so please do follow us there to make sure you always get notified for whenever a new episode comes out. In the next couple of weeks, we'll be kind of delivering you a few more surprises anyway, but we'll still be continuing on with our country perspectives and Euro retrospectives every now and again as well. So, please do continue to support us and follow us and share our content and stuff, because we just like to have some kind of interactivity. So yeah,
do it for your podcast.
Do it for your podcast, please. Your podcast needs you. But yeah, so shall we all say goodbye?
Bye.
Bye.